Hey everybody, this is Joseph Pasek, and welcome to the Fired Up Network. Welcome to another edition of Ballin here, but this time it's a 2023 Eastern Conference Final preview with Drew Ebanks, Captain Canada of OnPointBasketball.com, and Alex Campbell here. And boy, I don't want to be in Boston. Alex is in Boston. I want to go with Will Smith and everybody. Bienvenido a Miami. All right, Miami, 8th seed against Boston, was number 2 seed, but really Milwaukee, whatever. All right, so let's get to Campbell here, Alex.
Yeah.
Here first, you're in Boston. Is everybody talking about the Celtics here? Big game 7 victory. Is everybody? We're 4 games away from the NBA Finals once again. We could play LeBron. We could play Jokic. We could play somebody. We just need to win 4 games. We could get the ring. We're not going to get the ring. Who cares about the Boston Bruins winning 65 games and losing?
Yeah,
Are they
that's
going to
very well.
make the NBA Finals? The Larry O.B.
Well, yeah, that's all the talk right now. I think it's alarming how concerned they all are about the Heat. They split the series with this team 2-2 on the season. They've faced each other 3 of the last 4 years in the Eastern Conference Finals with mixed results. So I mean, this is a familiar foe. And playoff Jimmy Butler is a different animal. I mean, he's just and the thing is that he just doesn't see. It's the Energizer Bunny, and it's also a second gear at the same time. It's just so hard to compete with. And the Heat match up really well with a lot of teams. They're pesky in a way, and they match up really well with a lot of teams. Especially I think the Celtics for some reason. Now I'm excited. I think the Celtics ultimately win this series, though. I do. If we do the same thing, I think the Celtics win game 1, and I think they end up winning the series as well. If we want to do the same thing as we did for the other conference, but it really hinges on what we saw to close out that 76ers series, and that's what everybody here in Boston's pretty much talking about is Jason Tatum, and can he take the lead and just go off like that, when they really need him to.
So you talk about playoff Jimmy Butler, okay? Why is nobody talking about playoff, Jason Tatum, MVP of the All-Star game, scoring points, game 7 records and all that? When is somebody going to put respect on JT's name?
I don't, I don't mean to be like this, but I just don't think it ever happens. Really? I really don't. Yeah. Here's why. Okay. Tatum had said something interesting the other day. They were in an interview. He said about that 7-point game, that 1 for 7-point game that he had. He said, I just got in my own head. Well, I mean, look, I know he's only 25, 26, but Bud, this isn't a game where you can get in your own head. That's not how this works. You need your superstar athletes to come not with a little bit of arrogance, but like a whole lot of arrogance. Have you ever heard Michael Jordan have a just standard conversation about basketball? Like, he's one of the most arrogant individuals I've ever heard speak about basketball. You know what I mean? Kobe Bryant, is legendarily tough on his teammates. Jimmy Butler is legendarily tough on his teammates. These guys, that have this drive to take over a game, they don't say things like, "Well, I was in my head." You know what I mean? And that's not a criticism. Look, humans are just human, ultimately. And look, he's got every skill set imaginable to be the best basketball player on the face of the earth, basically.
Yeah, Alex,
I think he's missing that one thing. I really do.
I'm never in my own head. Do you know who I am?
See?
Do you know who I am? I'm the president of Provinces of Canada. How many people could say that? All right, Drew. Now, Drew, by the way, thanks for dressing up for the Miami Heat Boston Celtics.
I'm showing out for the ladies.
We talked about the WNBA last show. Drew, by the way, Alex, this is about Drew Ebanks, Captain Canada. He's always in his head. Oh, wow. I talked about him last show yesterday, the WNBA. Let's put a shirt on today. All right, go ahead, Drew. What do you think of the Celtics and Heat?
I mean, Alex makes some great points. I mean, when you look at Jason Tatum, and I pointed this out to a lot of people that didn't really get it. Jason Tatum is about 6'9", 6'10",
yeah,
and with the ability and handles and shooting ability, I mean, this guy is a superstar, no doubt, and he doesn't get enough props. And maybe it is because he has those ebbs and flows, the lulls in his game, the lulls within a game. I think at times he needs to be more assertive. The other day in one of the interviews, the post games, he said, you know what, as one of the best players, all humbly, in the league, like, I really can do it. I know what I can do. I'm capable of doing it. I need to step it up. I need to kind of take control, and be the man. Obviously, I think there's a little bit of tiptoeing around Jaylen Brown, the way they kind of play off each other, the way they don't step on each other's toes. I think in this series, he's going to have to basically say, yo, I'm Superman. You guys are riding on my cape. We're going behind me. I'm going to take the lead. Because if they're not careful, the Miami Heat, they can pull off the upset. But I still think it'll be 6 games. Boston, obviously, it's reversed now. Boston, the home team, they're coming off just recently playing. So they're going to have that kind of energy to start the game. If Miami now was a few more days rest for them, if they can really have a good, solid game throughout, they can steal game 1. But I still think Celtics in 6 in this one, and it'll be Celtics and Denver, in the NBA championships. I know the NBA would love to have LeBron. LeBron has a chance, but I think Denver just has a little too much talent deep through the roster, and it's their time to prove it as well.
You mentioned Jaylen Brown, okay? This series does not go on JT. It goes on Jaylen Brown, and that, for that matter, for Miami to win, it does not on Jimmy B. Bam, and some guy named Kyle. What's his name, Drew? Kyle. You're telling me he's 4 games from going to the NBA Finals again. You're telling me he's not motivated? He's not going to be motivated. He won't play. The guy's the king of the charge. The king of the charge. He will not take charge. He will not have bleeding nose here. He will not. And I'm telling you, if Jimmy Butler shows up and he doesn't show up one game, watch Kyle Lowry go off for 30 points at least. If I'm
Really?
Boston, Alex said it. I am scared of this Miami team. If I'm Boston, because they're playing with house money. Who expected them to get this far? And like Alex said, they know their opponent.
Especially without Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Never have picked them to get, without him and, Oladipo as well.
Without Oladipo, without Hero, they just, and they want to, and it's weird because in this era of like spread them out, shoot the 3, put them on the run, hit transition 3s, they just, the Heat just want to rock fight like every time. Basically, they just want to rock fight. They're literally the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. They have the lowest percentage. They don't really play great perimeter defense. They're pretty good, but especially with the injuries to Oladipo and to Hero. Hero's not an elite defender, but he's at least athletic and long enough to make a difference out there. He's a willing defender. And like they just play a different. It's kind of like the Lakers. The Lakers play a different kind of basketball too. It's kind of fun to watch. You know what I mean? Because I think we talked about this a couple shows ago, that it just kind of gets a little tiresome watching just 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. So, but that's honestly, and that's what this series it really comes down to in a way, though, is Boston is the second best 3-point shooting team in the league, had the second most threes and the second highest percentage for a team as well. Like I said, Miami's the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. So that split between the two is going to be interesting.
And here's the truth, and you guys are going to chime in. This series comes down not to the players. Eric Spoelstra against Boston coach. Who would you rather have, Drew? That's nobody's talking about that. Nobody talks about that. But who would you rather have?
Well, I mean, Spoelstra has so much experience. That's obviously championships. He's been started from the bottom, as Drake would say, in the film room. He's proven he can handle not 1, not 2, but 3 superstars on a roster. So definitely they have an advantage. Miami, I just don't think depth-wise they have enough to pull it over. If they were to beat Boston in this series, it would be an absolute huge upset, in my opinion. Despite how good Jimmy Buckets is playing, I just don't see the Celtics. I think, too, the Celtics realized they actually dodged a major bullet in Game 6. Sorry for the reference, but they should have basically been done in Game 6 if Philly did what they were supposed to do and put that series away. The MVP should have made sure that they got them in 6, and they would be playing in these Eastern, and they'd be favorites against Miami, in my opinion. So, of course, Spoelstra has that advantage.
But Drew, you just confirmed to me, who would you rather have in Game 6 and second rounds, than Spoelstra or Doc Rivers. Put it that way. Okay,
Oh,
so
that's not even a question there. I mean, but I just think
that's exactly.
talent-wise, team-wise, Philly would have the advantage. But yeah, for sure, Spoelstra over Doc Rivers. I'm not a huge Doc Rivers fan. Never have been.
All right,
Yes.
Alex, you're in Boston. All right, another could be going to another championship and all that, or they're still talking about the Patriots honoring Tom Brady week 1 against
Wow.
the Eagles.
Yeah, Tom Brady. Like honestly, if you listen to an hour of sports talk radio in the greater New England area, you're gonna hear a Tom Brady reference. Yeah, you are. Still to this day, you will. They sure are. But at the same time, this is the excitement of the Celtics, especially you said it earlier. With the disappointment of the Bruins, the excitement of the Celtics right now is really all the rage. And the Red Sox have been on a bit of a hot streak, although they still find themselves last in the division, right? The hottest division in baseball. But you know the one thing that I wanted to mention about Spoelstra, we guys were talking about it too. I think we're gonna look back, like Jordan has like certain legacies in the league, right? He has his shoe and he has like his 6 titles, his 2 3-peats and all that, in his moments. LeBron has his titles and his moments. They're often compared, and I think at the end of the day too, there's been a legacy of coaches left behind by LeBron. I think LeBron's gonna be the first player when we talk about a player's coaching tree. As weird as that sounds, because if you really look back on it, the coaches that he's really worked with have gone on so far to have very solid careers beyond just LeBron James.
Yep,
all of them, and it'll be really interesting to see where they go. And look at Darvin Ham right now. Darvin Ham just coached toe to toe with Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying
him in a way. Outcoached him.
LeBron, the player that tries to be the GM, isn't great as the player personnel guy, but damn, he's good as the coach personnel guy. He picks those coaches. I'm telling you, man, he picks those coaches because look, I mean, he forced David Blatt out, got Tyronn Lue in there, and boom, they win a title. Win a coaching change year. And now look at Tyronn Lue. Tyronn Lue is going to be a phenomenal coach for a long, long time. Anyways, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
That's very well said by you. But here's another thing with LeBron. We don't know. Okay, we're both. Drew's picking Denver. I think you're picking Denver and all that. If LeBron gets to the final, I'm just saying, if LeBron gets to the final, does he beat either Miami or Boston? Is getting to the final his NBA championship?
I think personally he could beat Miami.
Yep.
I don't see them beating Boston.
Same.
I don't see them beating Denver, and I don't see them beating Boston, just because I feel they have a little more talent than Miami, but I don't think they have more talent than those other 2 teams.
Is this his great? If he does win, is this his greatest championship?
It could be one of. I mean, when you look at
Not
where
one
this
of. I want to know your opinion. The greatest is this, knowing the team he has right now, knowing how old he is, knowing he finished 7th.
Yeah, I'd have to give it to him. Yep, because of his age, because of where this team was as a franchise, first year coach. A lot of doubts. The West,
where they were at the trade deadline.
Yeah, even where they were at the trade just before that, happened. You look at Westbrook and the negativity around the team, and you look at all the haters looking, hoping that LeBron wouldn't even make the playoffs, and these guys, inched their way in, and look where they are, 4 wins away from the NBA title. It would have to be his greatest.
What's a bigger story? I'll start off with Alex here. What's a bigger story? Lakers winning or Miami as the number 8 seed winning? And for that matter, Drew, if the Raptors got by Chicago, they would have played Miami and Raptors and Miami. There you go. But what would be a bigger story, Alex? Lakers winning or Miami winning?
Got to be the Lakers winning. It's got to be the Lakers winning.
It's because one guy. Yeah. That's the honest truth.
Because of LeBron. Well, it would do a lot of things too. I think it would also cement a legacy for Anthony Davis that's different than the one we have now too. I think, you know what I mean? I think it would help him as well in the kind of the historical eye. But yeah, absolutely. For LeBron, LeBron's one of those weird, like enigmatic type of scene superstars where his greatest achievements in basketball aren't often the ones that are really looked at as his greatest achievements in basketball. You know what I mean? And so if he wins this title, as Anthony Davis is the best player on his roster, I think historically we're still going to see it as LeBron's title. And don't forget, we have not really seen that game out of LeBron in the playoffs yet. Not really. I mean, there was a few key performances against Memphis that were pretty good, but we haven't really seen that 45-point triple-double type output where he can still, for one game, he can absolutely take over a game. He's still capable of it.
And maybe I'm changing my opinion because don't forget, AD came back from a wheelchair. To come back from a wheelchair and doing what he's doing, man, that's unthinkable. Two hours ago, this guy was in a wheelchair. We thought he was concussed with his legs, let alone his head. Come on. All right, Drew.
2 hours ago?
Well, he came back and he was in. Never mind.
Few days ago, more like it.
Whatever. I'm saying 2 days, 2 hours, whatever. So you mentioned Memphis. We have to go with here, and then we'll close it out. Drew, you'll start us off with John Morant, again being now suspended. With you want to tell them go ahead because
stupidity. That's the one word. That's the one word. He's already lost out on about $60 million, including not naming to an all-NBA team, that $39 million kick-in for a salary for Supermax, that's voided. Then you look at endorsements that are possibly that have been put on the shelf. Just an absolute moronic move. Not only the first, but the second time and within a couple months. Obviously, too, let's face it, guys, the rehab, there was no rehab done. First of all, the NBA gave him an 8-game suspension. He was already off. He only really sat out 2 games. And to say he had rehab or rehabilitated or understood the consequences of his actions, he obviously has not seen that. You look at the guy, he's a father. That is not a role model for a young lady. What she's going to have to grow up one day looking back and saying, what the hell were you thinking, Dad? John Morant this is a classic case of Gilbert Arenas actions on steroids. To the fact that Gilbert Arenas was at least further down in his career, this young man has the easily potential to be a billionaire athlete within 5 years, or maybe less when you add up salary, endorsements, and he's almost throwing it away, guys.
For sure. Like in the modern MVP in NBA, like he's an MVP caliber player in the modern NBA. I mean, imagine if he just adds a little bit every offseason, he's going to end up putting up huge offensive numbers. It honestly doesn't matter if he ever plays defense. Doesn't matter if he ever plays defense. If you can in the NBA,
Steven Adams for that.
If you ask Nikola Jokic, you know what I mean? If you can give a team 25 points a night, it doesn't matter. At the end, you don't have to. Carmelo Anthony never took it that seriously. He never showed up. He never showed up the next season underweight. He never showed up surprisingly in shape. So he never really pushed hard on the defensive end. When you can score like John Morant can score, like you said, like you're a multimillionaire, and then invest some of that money correctly, and you're probably close to a billionaire. I mean, the money is that ridiculous now. You just got to try to keep your nose clean and stay out of obvious. I mean, there's so many comments on this that were spot on about how this was a moronic incident. You're right. Not only is it classic like Gilbert Arenas, it's classic so many athletes we've seen go down for these like totally preventable, mistakes.
It's like the street cred thing. Obviously in rap, we see it. And even in the music game, I just shake my head when I see these guys doing what they do for that street cred or getting in trouble because it's going to make them sell more records. I mean, you're part of the NBA. You already know the malice in the palace, Gilbert Arenas situation. The NBA is very cognizant. Being an 80% black player league, there's more scrutiny on the NBA. There's fights in hockey, and there's nobody calling for the abolishment of hockey. Correct. So let's face it. When you have a sport that's 75, 80, 85% with black athletes, you're going to be in more scrutiny. The corporations that are willing to partner with the league are tremendous. There's so many sponsorship deals. The NBA is bringing in billions, right? But a lot of them will now look at this incident and say, hey, what's going on with the league? Maybe we should put our money somewhere else. And the thing is, he's so short-sighted. He thinks it's just affecting Memphis or just affecting his state. No, it affects the
Everybody.
whole NBA and their
World.
potential
The world.
sponsorship, the world, and their TV deals could be affected by this nonsense.
International.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to close out with this. I've gotten a few questions about this, so I want to start off with Drew. As you know, next season we're going to have a tournament, in-season tournament. All right, and now, and I don't even know where to say who wins that tournament. Is that an NBA champion, or is that inferior to the NBA championship, or because the first is the Larry O'B Trophy? What's this? The
I
Magic
don't think
Johnson
you need
Trophy,
it.
Kobe Bryant Trophy? Because for me, nothing against Larry O'Brien, but if you win the first Kobe Bryant Trophy, isn't that more than the Larry O'B?
You know what? I don't even think the NBA needs it. It's just another gimmick to sell tickets, to sell maybe sponsorship, to maybe increase the TV deal for an in-season tournament. Let's see how it goes, guys. I'm not a huge fan. I think there's nothing wrong with what's happening right now with the way the league's being played. You know, the play-in, I think, has been a huge success because that keeps, at least 10, 11, 12 fan bases per conference kind of saying, hey, we have a chance. We just got to get to the play-in. That's
Look at
if you have
Miami. Miami's
yeah,
a perfect example of it, and the Lakers.
that's right, because in Miami, I don't even know how they get filled arenas there because as soon as you step outside, there's a million things to do. So if you can
Like
keep
what, Drew?
20,
What is there to do in Miami?
oh, not a whole lot, Joe. Not a whole
Well,
lot at
in
all.
Miami has to figure out a way to do it. They need to create some kind of legendary franchise that pulls people in. Look, the Lakers get it done, and then once the Lakers get it done, every freaking franchise wants to move to LA now. You know what I mean? Because
But hold on.
if you can build, the thing is, if you can build that legacy in a resort area, you're going to nail it.
Well, they've
like
already
9 times out
won
of 10.
three titles or four.
They've got a very, very strong, franchise for sure. But I think if you moved it anywhere else, it's not seen as a
But if you're in
dynasty
LA,
necessarily.
I don't know if you know this, Alex, right?
Yeah.
Because LA has another team that nobody talks about. and their owner is a little bit cuckoo. So like, look, and he has a new arena. Well, I don't know what's wrong with the crypto.com arena, formerly the Staples Center, because LA, the Clippers play out of them, but now they're going to make the arena of all arenas for good for 2 years. All right. Did you see that arena? Oh my gosh. If you're an NBA fan, you won't want to go to the Lakers game for 2 years. Go to the Clippers games and watch that arena. Baller would be like, he would be growing crazy there. But again, it's to attract the people. And where the NBA is going next. It's going to go Vegas. We talked about the WNBA. Now the NBA. It's got to have a team.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
Vegas
when sports betting became a federally legal activity, I think we knew that we were going to have franchises in Vegas, pretty quickly. That was a foregone conclusion.
And if you play for Vegas and you're the opposition, aren't you betting on your own home team? Imagine if a team like Minnesota comes to Vegas and they play the next night. You think they're going to stay?
But imagine life as like a football fan that lives in Vegas at this point, or even if you visit Vegas during football season or something like that. Like you just go there, you get to go see a football game and like bet on football, watch your fantasy football stats during the game. Like it's crazy. And then once all that fun's over, go bet at the casino and have a great time with your friends. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's an all around great time.
It's a playground, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
If you haven't been to Vegas, you need to go because it's incredible.
Drew, are you taking me to Vegas? You know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
Yeah. A lot of things happen that you don't want to talk about. That's for sure.
Maybe
it's great to see. It's great to see sports.
I think in Vegas they have some phone issues too, but T-Mobile Arena and everything like that. But the NBA, we talked about fantastic, and we talked about WNBA terrific. They got to come up with a new slogan for Vegas in the NBA.
Yeah, that's going to
but
be a lot of fun.
So in the West, all you guys picked Denver, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Denver. In the East, all you guys picked Boston, correct?
Correct.
So I'm going to go, because I'm the president of provinces of Canada, mayor-elect of North America, soon to run for the mayor of Toronto. Drew Ebex is my running mate there, okay? I'm picking Boston to come out of the East. And, I just got a call from Drake. He told me, do not Do not go against King James because he will bribe the referees. So it will be Lakers in Boston in the NBA Finals
I hope so.
2023 at Crypto.com Arena. And Drew, what's arena in
First
Boston called?
TD Garden.
TD
First
Garden.
TD
Crypto.
Garden. First.
Exactly. I was going to say that. So Crypto.com, TD Arena, Lakers and Celtics. Forget about fantastic, terrific, or whatever. I bet a few shekels the NBA's praying for that
Not
matchup.
going to happen.
Oh,
They're
for sure.
praying, but it ain't happening.
It will happen. If it will watch, it will happen because next year in the play-in, I'm going to go on here. This is the play-in final, or not the play-in, the whatever in-season tournament final. I'm telling you, Alex booked this. All right, it's going to be Charlotte and New Orleans. Charlotte and New Orleans, and look at Alex. He's oh my gosh, this is the best matchup I could ever dream of. Charlotte,
Crazy.
Michael Jordan, Zion.
He's not playing.
They're gonna tell Zion, give me
And
3
even if he
games
was,
this year. Give me 3 games this year. You gotta play in this in-season tournament for 3 games. That's it. Come on. They're gonna,
Crazy thing is, there's a better odds that Jordan would play than Zion at this point.
Probably.
Right. All right,
Probably.
Alex, you'll start us off. Tell us how to get a hold of you, and these guys will be back here Thursday to break down Game 1 in the East, Game 1 in the West. But go ahead.
Get a hold of me on Twitter, Alex Campbell 517. Instagram, same thing, Alex Campbell 517. I'm here on the show, and I'm on Storm and Norman Rumack. I didn't mention that in the last show. Periodically as a guest. Love working with Drew every time, and always on the FiredUp Network with my crossover series too for a lot of basketball commentary there.
And by the way, the guy's gonna kill me. So it's Storm and Norman, but it's also the Greek. He right now, if you don't mention the Greek, he's get mad. He screws up his hair. He's got to do his pristine hair and everything like that.
Once he screws it up, it takes a few hours to get it back.
Few days. All right, Rumack and the Greek Mondays here on the Fired Up Network. Drew Ebanks, go ahead and finish off with. We didn't touch about it last time, but Canadian basketball. Go ahead, Drew.
Well, this is interesting. The fact that Stephen A. talked about, who came out better in the draft. With RJ Barrett doing his thing. Obviously, he's got, some ways to get to a certain level, but he's still pretty solid. Or John Morant or Zion Williamson. It looks like right now that the New York Knicks made the right pick. And that coming from Stephen A., which I don't think he has a true affinity for Canadian ballers or Canadian. Maybe he has to give props to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, obviously all NBA. But for him to say, hey, the Knicks could have had the best decision when he was going crazy. Remember, when they didn't get the chance to get Zion or Ja, he lost his mind.
It's amazing how it all works out, isn't it? Like that was just the most unexpected outcome of any of that. You know what I mean? But hey, here we are.
Last week he lost his mind when the Knicks lost. Also, he wanted everybody to get traded. He was crying. By the way, Alex, those are fake tears. You know who taught him how to cry like that? Drew Ebanks.
Oh my goodness. Well, again, I want to shout out the WNBA. They got it done. Shout out Amanda Lee.
Show big up. Show your shirt. Come on. Big up.
Make sure you support women's sports, women's basketball. Amanda did a great job. I know it meant a lot to her to be down there. Very emotional for her to be able to cover women's basketball in Canada. And, guys, as we mentioned yesterday, what a spectacle it was. 20,000 people, celebrities, young girls who are going to be the future in the league. And then you had both teams, Minnesota Lynx, Chicago Sky, of course, Bridget Carlton suited up for Minnesota out of Iowa State, and a great young Canadian women's basketball player. It's just phenomenal to see what they've done. And of course, we pointed out here on Fired Up many, many times, Toronto will have, courtesy of Jolton Joe has already said it to the world many times over, Toronto will have a WNBA franchise in the very near future. 2025, he says, and I believe it's going to happen. He knows what he's talking about. So, can't wait to be down there watching the ladies do their thing. And I'll tell you, when you look at the crop of young ladies playing right now, guys, in the NCAA March Madness tournament, that women's tournament was so much more compelling there was no personality I found in the men's tournament. There was nobody except for my man. What's the Noel guy from New York?
Yeah.
What team was he on again? The little point guard. He's in the NBA Combine, I believe, right now. Incredible for what he did. But other than him, maybe one or two. But the women had so many compelling personalities and compelling storylines. Wait till these young ladies get into the WNBA. And quickly, I just want to shout out Leonard Miller, who's at the NBA Combine. Olivia Maxence Prosper, he's up in there. Zach Edey, Player of the Year, consensus Player of the Year. He won every single award. Zach Edey, hopefully he gets drafted. It looks like Omax is going to go first round, guys, towards the end. And Leonard Miller, somewhere it's looking like in the teens, late teens to early 20s as well. So phenomenal to see our Canadian guys getting it done. And hopefully they're going to get drafted as well. So look out for some stuff. We have some stuff cooking, possibly with Omax Prosper as well. And I wish the rest of the Canadians much luck in the NBA draft coming up. Drew Ebanks is the Twitter handle, at Drew Ebanks, On Point Basketball at Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
And guys, you know this, we have formed a partnership with the junkyard dog, Jerome Williams. He's going to provide some. Is that your field attack barking or what? It sounds like a cat, not a dog. All right.
He's better than me for sure.
He's going to send us some, including Clyde Drexler, Clint Capella. So we got
Glide? Wow.
Yeah.
I need to talk to Glide. You got to have me on one to Glide talk. I want to talk to him about those early years when he was.
No, I can't have you on with the glide. You don't know how to glide. Your version of gliding is walking to 7-Eleven.
Hey, my nickname is Spud. Okay, I'm not a nickname Spud for no reason.
When I look at that here, I think of Spud. Don't you, Alex? Come on.
Back in the day, you just throw it down.
So, by the way, enjoy the conference finals in the East and in the West. And again, Thursday on the flagship show, Alex and Drew will be back here to recap Game 1, see if they're worried about their picks. Boston's a good pick. Lakers, they picked Denver, man. The only good thing in Denver, it's really high up. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.